He never mentioned his daughter's name. Not in the first game, not even in the sequel. It left fans guessing for over a decade. Yet some players knew it from the start. Wanna know how? Then get ready for an investigation into the curious case of a child's missing name. Apologies for my accent, though it actually plays a part in this story. But we'll get to that. Max Payne makes for a catchy title. While it's nothing new to name a piece of work after its main character, writer Sam Lake also made it more memorable by adding a maximally painful play on words. Or maybe he got the idea from professional wrestler Daryl Peterson, who went by the same stage name in the 90s. Either way, Lake's imagination didn't stop with the protagonist. Mona Sachs has Max in it. Kira Silver can be an anagram of Valkyr Rise. Alex Boulder is most likely based on the Norse god Baldur, while the Ragnarok nightclub is a direct reference to the doomsday of the same name. Hell, even Sam Lake himself uses a pen name, albeit with a caveat. Järvi means lake in Finnish, so Finland-born Sami Järvi is literally Sam Lake. Clearly, this man has some obsession with names, which makes it even stranger that he left the poor baby without one. Or did he? To explain, first we need to understand the chronology of events. Make no mistake, the child has no name in the original game. Max refers to the kid only as baby. It almost looks like he doesn't even know his own daughter. Her name doesn't appear anywhere. Not in the main game, not in the credits, not in any printed manuals. So at that point, it remained a mystery, at least for most players. In the sequel, it's basically the same story.
My wife. My baby.
But we do get our first hint. In the prologue, there are drawings of a 5-year-old girl named Rose. Of course, she can't be Payne's daughter, for, well, obvious reasons. Yet the signs that she might be are there. His daughter would have been 5 by then. Her drawings depict the events of that fateful night. Finally, the walls and the rock look familiar. However, nobody confirms the name, and Max is hallucinating like crazy, making it hard to trust him. So let's say the seed was planted, but it would take years for it to grow. The following movie didn't help either. In it, nobody even specifies the baby's gender. Actor Kerr Hewitt is credited as the kid, so technically, in this lackluster adaptation, Max actually had a son, not a daughter, but still an unnamed one. According to the Max Payne fandom page, and to my own findings, the baby's name was revealed in a tie-in comic book for Max Payne 3. And the child's name? Turns out it was Rose after all. Finally, after almost 11 years, it was official. She was called Rose Payne, confirming all those fan theories from the sequel. But remember how I said that some players knew her name from the start? Well, I was among them, and that's the part where my accent comes into play. Max Payne is forever bound to another name, that of late James McCaffrey. It's hard to imagine how Remedy will handle his passing in the remakes. For a lot of people, myself included, he was Max Payne.
I didn't like the way the show started. They'd give me the best seat in the house, front row center.
But as you can tell, English is not my mother tongue. So my first playthrough back in 2001 was actually in a different language. I was born in Estonia to Russian parents, so they got me this license disc that I still own to this day. Russian Max Payne was voiced by the late Gennady Vengerov.
Мне сразу не понравился этот спектакль. Правда, для меня отвели самое лучшее место.
Now let's compare the scene where Max finds his wife.
No, God, no, please, Michelle. Oh, baby.
And now, the official Russian dub.
Нет. Мишель, Рози, нет.
I can assure you that Rosie is not a Russian word for baby. It's clearly the name of the child. And it was actually mentioned in a dialogue with Alex just a moment ago. This one's a bit trickier, but I'll break it down for you. Just listen closely.
See? My last smoke.
Вот это моя последняя сигарета.
It's bad for the baby.
Ничего, Рози. Дышать дымом.
And there she was. Rose. Almost 11 years before it would become canon. But how could that be? How could a foreign translator get it right if the name was never used, even by Sam Lake himself? I had to get to the bottom of this, so I kept digging. Even though Sam Lake is Finnish, the script for Max Payne was written in English, so it's the original that all other translations were based on. There were 5 more official localizations besides Russian at launch, and I replayed the prologue in each and every one of them. Brazilian Portuguese.
Não, Deus. Não, Michelle. Ah, querida.
French.
Oh, non, Michel, mon Dieu, non!
Italian.
No. Mio Dio, Michelle. Bambina mia.
Polish.
Nie, o Boże, Michel, skarbie!
Spanish.
No. Dios, Michelle.
As expected, none of them mentioned Rose, because her name was never there in the first place. So where did the Russian translators get it? Now, it's a standard practice for developers or publishers to send files for localization ahead of the game's release to meet the launch date. But here it seemed a bit too late for that. Max Payne was released in July of 2001, while the Russian dub hit the shelves only by the end of November. That's why I assumed that the translation was done from a first print disc. Otherwise, why such a long delay? It's not an RPG with over 1 million words. So maybe her name was hidden somewhere in the files of the original game? Obviously, the Steam version was a no-go, since some content might have been cut. So, strictly for research purposes, I downloaded a digital copy of a first print disc. With some modding tools and a fair amount of swearing, I extracted everything: level layouts, images, textures, sounds, music, scripts. Going through the files, I couldn't shake the feeling that experienced data miners would have probably dug something up years ago. Or wait, is that Baby Payne Rose? Nah, false alarm, it's Pose. And that's the thing, the baby is always referred to as baby in the game files. Baby Payne Pose, Baby Payne Wave, Baby Crying. I was chasing a ghost and starting to slowly lose my mind. If those cubes spell dead, maybe they can spell Rose? Nope, some letters were missing from the textures. Also in the nightmare level. Are those rose petals falling? A beautiful metaphor if you think about it. But according to the script, this is just slow red snowfall. Doesn't mean they are not petals. They most likely are. But still, nothing in the files specifically points to roses. Even the flowers in the paintings aren't roses. Except maybe these, though it's hard to say for sure. They look more like peonies to me. Oddly enough, this picture appears only in the nightmare versions of Payne's house. And even if those really are roses, it's nothing more than an obscure hint. You couldn't guess a name from that. In the end, no matter how hard I looked, I couldn't find anything even remotely related to Rose. That left me with just a few options. First, I searched for press kits, since they sometimes contain additional information about the game. Max Payne was revealed at E3 in 1998, but official assets were only provided in 2001 as part of a Rockstar Games media kit. The press release was really short and mostly talked about Max Payne being developed for PlayStation 2. About 2 months later, the game was released on PC, and by the end of the year it was available on PS2 and the original Xbox. So no luck there. Second, I tried to get in touch with Logrus IT, the company that handled the translation back in the day. They're still in business, but I was told that it's been almost 25 years, so it's unlikely anybody would remember anything. Fair enough, I guess, yet it didn't get me any closer to the answer. With not much hope left, I decided to contact the developers. Finally, I wrote a letter to Remedy Entertainment. Turned out to be a one-way conversation. I didn't even get a reply. As a desperate last resort, I messaged Sam Lake directly on Instagram. As expected, no answer. Most likely he didn't even see my request, or just shamelessly ignored his neighbor from Estonia. Jokes aside, I've hit a dead end. There was nobody else to ask, and I was the only person in the world who even cared about this stuff. And that's exactly why I had to crack this case. And I think I have. The answer was basically staring me in the face this whole time. At least one part of it. Remember the graphic novels? These are just pictures. Speech bubbles are baked into the image, so the translation had to be hand-drawn onto them. Yet the Russian text bubbles are sometimes smaller than the originals. And that's only possible if you have the source image, which was never in the game files. So localization teams did get some additional information from the developers after all, and Logros IT eventually managed to confirm it through some colleagues, though unfortunately without any specifics. Rose must have been somewhere in those internal documents, and for some reason, the translators slipped her name into the final game. That's the only logical explanation.
It's me, silly. Rose. You know me.
So in the end, Sam Lake didn't leave the baby without a name. He just left us without it. The only question is, why did he hide her name for so long? Maybe it was a mystery for the sake of mystery. Or maybe I'm overthinking it and it's just a name. But being raised trilingual, I'm used to things getting lost in translation, not the other way around. I mean, have you ever seen something in a foreign localization that ended up as canon a decade later? Well, now you have, I guess. But if you know of anything similar, then please share it in the comments, because the devil is always in the details, and I'm a sucker for those. You must be too if you made it this far into the video. Thanks for surviving through my accent, and if you hit that subscribe button, you might hear it again.